So here I am back in the Netherlands. Been here, it was just over 3 weeks now, 4 weeks, and it's the 4th of July, so it's a kind of big step in easing of some of the restrictions back in England. UK as a country is a bit divided at the moment, but they're kind of, all the nations are implementing the same policies just at different times. They don't come across as very coordinated at times. So I'm in the Westduinpark, and I've just come running up the east side of it, down the east side heading south, and it's head straight into the wind at the moment. I'll be able to tell it's actually raining, which is really refreshing after all the hot weather we've had. And I'm going to head to Kijkduin, which is a little seaside town on the edge of The Hague. And then I'm going to carry on. The plan at the moment is to carry on to Monster if the wind starts driving in, because we're supposed to have gale force winds, but I haven't seen any sign of that so far. So it's 5.5 kilometres in. Kijkduin will normally be buzzing because it's a major little holiday destination. It's always dead here during the winter, but obviously quiet today because it's whittling with rain. So keep all the crowds calm down and minimal for the. Again, there's still people walking out, and one other runner I've seen so far. One other. I must say, even though this is blowing almost a gale, it's supposed to be a gale at some point, and lots of rain, I much prefer this to the heat we've been having. It's done a little turn at eastwards at just before Monster, so I'll now do this loop and north of Monster, and then head back up the coast to Scheveningen and The Hague. You instantly get spared from the wind because that was really driving, and although it's only the dunes, there is enough height there, and of course the wind coming unimpaired straight across the North Sea. So it's going to get windy in a moment again because coming out of a shelter spot. So here's Monster. So the turn westwards, heading towards the beach. But carried on that way another 7 kilometres, I would have hit the Hook of Holland. So I'm going to see how this is. So nice thing will be now the wind will be behind me, but of course if it is reaching gale force, it's not going to be particularly pleasant, even if it is pushing me along. So we'll just see how that goes. So a lot quieter now that I've got the wind behind me, less battered. You see the sea, that's one of the kind of restaurant cafe places. They dotted along here every few kilometres. There's an entrance through the dunes, so-called strandslugs, and you can, normally there's at least one pop-up restaurant there. Well, they're not really pop-up because they actually stay there most of the year, but they're wooden, so they can be dismantled. And get an idea, well, I'll show you a shot in a moment, but I'm running along the dunes now. So as I mentioned before, about 7 kilometres behind me is the Hook of Holland. Beyond that is Zeeland. But the Hook of Holland, you get the start of these dunes, and they go all the way up here, all the way up to Haarlem, which is on the coast side of Amsterdam. That's about 80 kilometres. And in places these are pretty wide, they'll stretch to several kilometres wide. They'll have woodland on them, little mini forests, and this is what protects the Netherlands. So it's well known for being a lowland. Not a lot of it's above sea level, but these dunes act act as a massive barrier between the sea and the whole of the Netherlands, and it carries up actually beyond Haarlem, right up to the Wadden Islands at the north, the fringing islands that act as a barrier again to protect the northernmost part of the Netherlands. So as we come up to this strange stag, in fact it's saying goodbye till soon, see you soon. That's actually Westland, that sign, but further in towards on the coastal trail rather than inland a bit more. Again, you can see another one of those big ponds in the dunes there, really popular with the kite surfers. You see the sea beyond. Of course, when the tide comes in, that really rushes over that. The rest of the area, you've got, the tide doesn't go out as far, but this area is a bit steeper because of the height of the dunes here, I guess. Okay. So I'm almost 14 and a half kilometres in, well on my way to Kijkduin. Now I had hoped, that's a long rise coming from Monster, long gradual rise. I'm now kind of at the top of that rise. I had hoped to show you the coast. So in the mist there is Kijkduin, beyond that Scheveningen, the port of Scheveningen, and the beach area, fairly famous holiday resort area in the Netherlands. Beyond that, Katwijk and Zee, which I quite often run up to when I'm doing my long 20-mile training runs, and then all the way for 80 kilometres up to Haarlem. But unfortunately the mist has defeated me, so I can't show you that, so I have to just show you the kite surfers again, and hope that the weather will clear a little bit soon. So I'm just coming up to 17k on this run. See the North Sea out there. Frame one up. It's a little run of shops, a lot of renovation going here. I think this was all going to get redone through here anyway, but I can't believe that the coronavirus hasn't actually sped that development on. Although most shops in the Netherlands opened about a month ago now. It's right at the start of May, quite a bit earlier in the UK. I know I've said before, I think a lot of that was down to ability to local contain. The Netherlands got badly hit early on, but they did go into lockdown about 8 days ahead of the UK, along with a lot of the other Western European countries. So they were a lot more cautious and locked down, and I think that going in a week early meant they've actually saved about 3 to 4 weeks coming out. So obviously they were touched, although it was pretty bad here for a time, they took the edge right off that, and at one point the mortality rate, hospitalisation rate, was running neck and neck with the UK. But as it started to slow down here, the UK carried on a little bit longer. Again, I think probably because of that extra week of not locking down. There's people in the restaurant. Normally this would be buzzing, the weather being better, but it's not today. Everybody sits outside and on the beach. So all along here for kilometres they have these sand beach restaurants and cafes. So really nice here after work, off on a spring summer's evening, just to cycle down to the beach or walk. We've actually got some that are very close to us. Walk to the beach and just have a drink, soak in, and maybe even have a light dinner here. Hadn't done that in a while. We were in quarantine for 2 weeks. We came back from the UK a few weeks ago, so we were obviously supposed to, we were staying in the house, supposed to stay, and stayed in the house, and the weather closed in. while we were in the house, it went up over 30 degrees Celsius. So it was absolutely baking. We couldn't even go out onto our balcony because it was too hot out there. And then when we come out of quarantine, the weather starts closing in and we get this sort of stuff. Anyway, here's another set of restaurants. Me and my Aussie cousin might remember coming here a couple of years ago when it was a lovely sunny day. So yeah, the weather should improve next week. So I'm sure there will be. But I'm amazed how many people are in these restaurants even today, making the best of it. Okay, so I'm going to run back up onto the path off of the beach now. Now I've got about 4.5–5k, and then I'm done. Yeah, there's the sweet big beach. So here I'm just starting to come out of Westduinpark, and then I'll just go up to this next rise, and then I'm going to head down into Downdorp, which is kind of famous or infamous depending on your point of view for the big bonfires that get built each year at New Year that break the world records for the tallest bonfires. There's one in Downdorp and then one across the other side of the port in the Schravingen. Okay, that's me done for the day, 22.5 kilometres, and yeah, nice and slow. Want to kind of create training for a marathon, particularly an off-road one. Oops, camera shifted. All about time really, and for me anyways, is to just get into, it's not the speed, it's not necessarily the distance I'm covering, it's making sure I'm spending a few hours out running. It's quite a tall, lots of climbs in this marathon. The Alza one in Dorset is about a kilometre, 1,000 metres of climbing, which is more than Clarendon road. It's about 800. So if I get close to 6 hours, I'd be really pleased with that sort of distance and terrain. But they allow up to 8 hours. It's a lot more generous. Clarendon only allow 5. It is quite a quick course if the conditions are right, or relatively so, not like a road course of course. So anyway, it's good. Saturday the 4th of July, nice and wet, but rather nice to be out actually.